Yes. Mrs. Musil had a meeting tonight, so Mr. Fegan, our new athletic director, activities director, assistant principal, is joining us in her place tonight. Thank you for being here. Okay, are we ready to open? Is that up there? All right.
Okay, I'll say some, I'll open my mouth. Oh, do we call a meeting to order? Do you like to do all that stuff? Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order. It's in order. Let's, do we have minutes to approve?
Minutes from the September 20th, 2022 meeting. Any additions, deletions? So we need a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Sarah.
Second.
Thank you, Kathleen. All in favor of approval, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Yeah.
Okay, citizens agenda, do we have anybody, just, this is the random topic portion of the night, afternoon. Do we have anybody speak up to say they wanted to ahead of time?
Nope, we did not have anyone send anything in that they wanted to
Anybody
or share
got
anything.
Just random top of your head feels like something you wanna. Agenda. All right, let's move on to the agenda. Our discussion items. The first one is social emotional learning discussion. Part of that is going to be talking about what resources have been gathered. And then to kind of see where we're at with this initiative and see where we go next.
So first of all, did everybody get the invite and was everybody able to, I shared the folder under community engagement.
I did not, I did not get an invite that I know of, but full disclosure, I've been moving and selling my house in the past few weeks, so my life has just been in chaos. So I did get an email and I accidentally deleted it. I'm sorry.
That's
If you could
okay.
send it to me again,
That's
I would
okay.
really
I
appreciate it.
absolutely can.
Thank you.
I don't have
Um,
an excuse, but I did get it and I did get logged in. And then today I went on and logged in. I realized because I have 3 emails, don't ask why. I went to log in under the wrong email and it won't let me switch my email. So you can ignore that request. I'm hoping.
Okay,
but-
because you gave me, I had your
And
iCloud.
that's the one I use more often.
Okay.
I didn't pay attention when I was doing it and now it's gonna spit that out. So I've been in and I've looked at everything. I went to get back in before the meeting to refresh myself and now I've locked myself out.
Okay. If you can't get in, let me know and I can
That's what
go in and
figured,
try to
so, but
adjust
ignore my
emails.
Hotmail, 'cause I don't want it to that one. I'm trying to eliminate that
Okay.
one.
So when you go in, I'm gonna just go back one thing right here. So I have this 22-23 folder, if you haven't been in, and you will see the only one you, and you'll see it right over here is, it shows that this is my only folder that's shared. When you pop into this, you'll see that we have agenda and minutes. So here's the agenda from our September meeting. I uploaded the minutes from the September meeting and then the agenda for today's meeting. So any minutes in that will always be kept in here. So if you choose to bring, an iPad, any of your own, you can get in on there. You can even bring your Chromebooks, Grace and Leah. Then the other thing that we have are the documents. And this is where I loaded up, here's the mission and vision statements, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And this is just that Word document we had originally where Emma from our office went in and put any mission and vision statements. And then this is, and I saw that a number of you have been in here uploading. And the great part is you don't have to save it anytime anything is entered. It's just uploaded in. So Diane had done just a sample at the top to show everybody like Cinesa B centers. And then we've had others come in and Look, it says John Wadsworth made changes.
He did.
So we have the Regional Office of Education. And Florissa. So Roots to Wings Therapy, KSB Pediatrics. So we have a number of these, and this can be a running thing, but it was part of our discussion from the last meeting about trying to think of not only we wanted to discuss, like, start putting down how do we inform parents of what we had, because a lot of you were not aware we had Sinisippi in our buildings, that we're a district that has social workers or counselors in every building, but also what is out there for our parents. So if it's more that can be done or is appropriate in the school setting, what can we offer to our families to let them know what's out there in our community for social emotional support. So
do we know what of those, if any, are at no cost, or if, I know that'll be a question for parents. Do I need insurance to go see these people, or, that sort of thing? And I don't know if anyone else can speak to that if you added information.
that's a good point. I don't think we have that. We could certainly add that and put someone to task on finding out, because a lot of times it's sliding scale depending, or some of it may be insurance based. Are we thinking?
Pre-authorization or-
Yeah,
A column like that, where is there a cost associated or not?
because that'll be, for some people, they won't even consider it if, and understandably so, if there's going to be
Mhm.
a difficulty
Make
there.
sure that's a wrap text. Okay.
Gretchen, I just emailed it to you again, so.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay, to wrap back around to what I need to wrap my head back around this. Our overall goal that we're trying to get to by the end of this season and this season, which goes through the end of the school year, around social emotional is, I think we did not finalize on exactly what we want that goal to be. It's about gathering information. It's about sharing information with the community. We'd also talked about potentially some kind of a survey to try to understand what people feel are the social emotional needs in the community. I think we've had a couple of months to think about it a little bit, and it seems like tonight would be a good time to align on what our goals are to hit by the end of the season. And they have thoughts on that, or just like what seems like a reasonable goal to try to get to, or what seems like a meaningful thing to try to accomplish?
I think probably one thing we need to add to this too is I think we need to make sure parents are aware of what's going on inside of our buildings in case they have questions. And I think probably those of us that are school employees and that we could put our heads together and put down about our social workers and counselors and our
See, when I opened that, I wasn't exactly sure how to add, or not how, I don't know how, but if we were adding stuff.
I think internal is going to be separate. This was just the external
Okay,
piece.
Okay.
Good point. Good
Is this
question though.
something that then you'll add to like the district website?
Yes. Yep, that's something we can share. I can create a link for it, then that people can go in once we're done, and then we can always adjust.
This might be a dumb question. Do you have any way of seeing like how often parents access your website and go there for information or anything like that?
We do get logistics and
I guess not just parents, but anybody in general.
yeah, we get data, and then it's in every board packet of how many have access, like Facebook pages and different things like that. I've never tried where links, so I'd have to ask Jim if it counts,
Yeah,
like how many times
I
are,
might go there for just general information. but, you know, calendar updates and stuff like that, but I was just curious if we knew, like, if we put this on there, are we reaching very many people? Like, how many parents in the district have regular internet access to that?
We did, when COVID began, we did a survey to kind of find out what was out there as far as who had internet connectivity. And I'm trying to remember if it was the high 80%.
I think it
Oh,
was.
that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
was more than we had thought. And there were some that were like, well, I never even thought about my phone. And so, we figured somewhere between 87 and 90% of families have, access. So,
That's just such
but
a-
I will check with Jim and have an answer back about, do we have a way to,
He provides that to the board every,
yeah, we have the website activity. So like is this the one going to the
Mhm.
board tomorrow?
Mhm.
So can you go down just a little so I can see that? Our Jim Manley, our technology director, said our district website had 14,738 users in the month of October and 89,549 different pages reviewed.
Oh, wow, there you go.
So now, so we must be able to get
That's great.
that
That's- I just-
data.
I didn't know how much, like, it's a great place to put it, but if people aren't accessing the site.
Right.
I mean,
Breaks it
honestly,
down
when
by
I'm trying to
device.
find, excuse me, if I'm trying to find information, my first stop is like your social media pages. Like, I'm not necessarily going to the website first, unless it's for the menu. I always have to look on the menu for hot lunch.
Mhm.
okay? But I'm not looking for, information about half days or, things like that. I'm going to social media.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
And the great part is with our website, I'm just gonna go there right now so you can see, we realize that not everybody's on social media, so on a Facebook, on an Instagram or a Twitter. So the great part is a lot of the stuff that we put out, we hit it as a live feed that looks like that. And then you'll see a lot of that same information then go out perhaps with a graphic or something to our social media pages. So we've tried to think about, where do people go and how do we get that information out to them?
So it's interesting with the Facebook page, you can see what the top post was. That.
Yeah, we can see like our Facebook account last month, the top post was Katie Drew medaling in golf. And it reached 4,496 individuals and 949 different clicks on it. Same with like our Twitter account. Katie Drew was the top draw on Twitter.
Everybody wanted to vote for Katie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
that was where we were voting.
Yeah, so. Yeah, but good point. We try to, like I said, make sure it gets everywhere.
That's really good. I didn't know that, how, I know that's where I always go.
Yes. And there are some people, like I said, who say, well, I never check your website and, they'll ask about like the menu and I'm like, well, that's on the website that we don't get on there. So, yeah. And then we have these separate news articles that are more like our blogs, but I happen to know this ability of us getting the grant for the extra pre-K classroom. That went out as kind of a blog that went out on our live feed. And then that also went out on all social media pages. So.
I don't feel like between website and all the social media and everything else, and I've never gotten the impression from like other parents, friends of mine. Nobody's not getting information. Like, everybody's getting their information from somewhere, not necessarily all one specific place, but the information is getting out there.
It's nice to know. That's why we went to Apogee, because they used to have to log into Facebook,
Oh.
then log into Twitter. We never had Instagram availability. Then I'd have to get something ready for the website and it'd be like logging in. The great part about this, when you do this is, and I go in to post anything, that was the point of going to this, and it's our emergency notification system. just thinking. I can then create my live feed, which I showed you on our webpage, and then this is where I click. Do I want it to also go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? This is the text alert if I wanted to go that way, and this is the voice call. So
Much
one-stop
more efficient For
shopping.
you, I'm sure.
Oh, I love it, yes. And so it's even like when I have to call a snow day now, I literally drive the roads and then just pull into somebody's parking lot and
Yeah.
then just do everything
Do
right
your
from the
thing.
phone. So,
It is interesting to think though, now, so when my kids are all out of school, but if one of them was having an issue where I felt they needed help, would I think about going to the school website for information?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I'm with you on that. I don't think,
No, that doesn't mean, and maybe that's a piece that we fit in with the survey and that sort of thing, but
I guess too, it would depend on if they were having. If their problems were spilling over into school, where they were having
Sure.
issues at school, then I would say, hey, I'm gonna reach out to a teacher, counselor,
Yeah.
principal, or whatever. But if not, if it was something that the school didn't know about, I don't know if I would go that route.
I wouldn't think to go
I
there.
know, exactly. That's just, it's not. And it's kind of funny because one of my college sons is having some issues and, he talked to me about it and I said, you're on a big college campus, but surely they have,
They
counselors,"
do.
and that was my first thought there. I don't know why it's not my first thought.
Interesting.
it's a good point.
Mhm.
And I think that is a really good point on the survey.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to find out.
You know,
I didn't.
no,
When my son during remote learning, when he was kind of struggling emotionally with all these, different feelings. and I didn't necessarily think, I didn't even think to go to the website. And the only reason I went through school with the social worker, Miss Shoulders, was my son's teacher, his first grade teacher. She kind of noticed him getting a little teary on Zoom, and just struggling,
Yeah,
over, Zoom, and she mentioned, oh, I could get you in touch with Miss Shoulders, and only at that point that I say, oh, there are resources at school. I don't
Yeah.
have to go necessarily to, I was ready to make doctor's appointments and go to these, all through these different channels when, he talked to Miss Shoulders a couple times, much better, so but I would have never thought of that had she not said something to me.
and maybe there's a couple pieces too. There's, what do I do if my child needs help or I need some support? And what is the school doing as far as educating kids within that social emotional umbrella?
I think there is some resistance to that.
Oh, I think there is, or what it means.
Yeah.
What,
I'm sorry, can you tell me, what do you mean by that? There's resistance to what?
I feel like there are some, I'm sure there's some portion of the community who feel that school is just for reading and math and
Don't get involved in my kid's business.
yeah,
right.
Gotcha.
And I'm not saying that it's like majority opinion or anything. I feel like there are
I just
some,
wasn't sure what you meant.
yeah.
mhm.
So maybe our goal should be just making sure all the parents in the districts know these are the resources that you can check if you see your children. Maybe that should be our biggest, I don't know. That might be our best goal because sitting here listening, I don't know, you have two students here. Did you guys know what was available?
I know when I was younger, when I went to like the school counselors, I feel like the teachers more so, would be the ones who would tell us about it, not really like the parents, you know what I mean? But if all the parents knew about the resources there, that'd be helpful to not see two different counselors outside school and in school, than just one in school.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm having problems, the first place I'm gonna go is to a teacher, and I wouldn't really think about other resources that could be available. I'd just go straight to the teacher. So I feel like if people know that there's more than just the teachers available, then that would help a lot.
So, Leah, would you,
are you saying you go to the teacher if you're having a problem with schoolwork? Or let's say that you're just not feeling yourself, I'm really depressed, would you go to a teacher then? Or are you thinking that we're just talking about like school?
I would say like if I'm having problems like with something related to school, like if I'm stressed or something about schoolwork, like I'd go to the teachers. If there was something at home, I probably wouldn't go to the teachers, but like I still wouldn't know like that these resources are available.
And there may be some kids who don't necessarily want to go to their parents, depending on what they're struggling with, because maybe they're struggling with their parents.
Their parents.
So it is valuable then, for at least at the high school level, probably middle school level, to have it be available for the kids too, definitely.
Yeah, well, even our Safe to Help, we had, that was meant, whether there's something going on with bullying, harassment, self-harm, there's a whole list kids can do. We had our first one last month where a student reported that a parent was abusing them at home.
Through that.
Yep, so the
system.
principal was able to immediately contact law enforcement, contact DCFS. So we could, get the system of supports in place for that kid, so.
And how does that work then? So when you say use that system, is it just they submitted email? I can't remember what you
They
said.
can text,
Okay.
we have, they can text, they can call, or right on the front of our webpage here. They can go in and report right from there.
Okay.
So did you, as student, did you know about that?
So we had like a meeting about it during ELT. I actually had it, like, I have it downloaded to my phone, like they had us actually like download it and look into it for ourselves, just in case we needed it. Awesome.
And I believe they did that for middle and high, and then,
Our students got bags with
yes,
stuff in it, I think, from current PE.
Lots of little magnets and other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like the telling about it during PE.
Mhm.
My little sister sings a song about
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
sing for us, please?
and it's really honestly used most by, I would say 4th through
Sure.
12th grade. K through 3, usually your parents are your first line of, Johnny or Susie says this is happening at school, but anybody can access that. So am I hearing you say, like, right now, the biggest thing is to make sure that we kind of pull together information on what resources are available within the school. So both kids are reminded as well as parents.
Just putting a survey and then publishing the results of that survey will bring information to people. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
we heard from the people who responded to the survey that these are their top 3 concerns about their child, or whatever it is that we're asking, it's,
Mhm.
people are interested, I think, in survey results, right?
So
Yeah.
are the concerns what we're surveying about?
Yeah,
Because
what are
I've
we
been a little
surveying?
bit unclear about what this survey was about, because I thought
Yeah,
our biggest goal was the gathering of information.
Same. Yeah.
gathering
So
of
what are we
information as
surveying?
in what's there, is that what you're saying when you say?
No, like,
the
what are
gathering?
we asking them?
No,
What
I know,
information
but
are we
when you,
using?
when you say you thought it was the gathering of
The
information.
resources.
Got it.
Yeah, like
in the
putting out some
express-
sort
yeah.
of pamphlet of, here are external
thought
resources that you
internal
have
and
and
external.
internal.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it would be nice to know what the needs are though,
That makes sense.
but I don't know, maybe that's too much, maybe people won't give us that information. I don't know.
I think people are more willing to send or to be opinionated when they don't necessarily have to identify themselves.
Yes.
Anonymous surveys.
Yeah.
And they can answer whether they're just, are you a parent? Are you a student? Are you just a community,
Yeah.
not just
Do
a
you
community
think your
member, but a
child is
community
feeling
member?
anxious?
Yeah.
Are you feeling though, okay, so. I'm trying to put this into words. Okay, so we want to survey them and say, what are your needs? We've collected all this so far, and I assume it's an open document. We're gonna continue, and we're gonna add to it internal. Are you feeling like we wanna know needs? Do you feel like there's gonna be social emotional needs to be covered? Or I'm not sure. I guess I'm trying to say this nice. I don't want this to come off sounding, but I don't know why do we need to know what your needs are? If we've got this big list, this blanket, that's a bunch, we're gonna go through a lot of work, I think. I remember how many meetings we spent, and I know you were there, formulating them questions.
Back on my piece of paper,
Yes, yes.
rearranging the
Yes.
questions in what order.
So my thought is, I don't think it's that we don't care what they are, I don't know that we don't want to know, but if we're looking at that umbrella of social emotional,
Do we really need to know?
what? That kind of gets, I think, a little personal,
That's what I
but
mean.
again, it's anonymous,
But
so.
it's anonymous,
I
I mean,
don't know.
do we need?
But, or do we roll it out and say, hey, here's some great. I can see a flyer in my head. Go ahead, Kathleen. Are do you problems with your child or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. These are resources that, social emotional, I don't know.
Yeah, we could just go ahead and ask, like, will it make the list more effective? Like, will it have any
You mean the
effect?
survey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
will
Doing a
the
survey?
survey make our information any more effective, or will it just give us more information to have in the back of our minds? Like, will it change the product to have that information?
I think it depends on the questions that you ask, because at one time, and this was last year, the discussion was, do we need to offer some like parent academies? Do we need to offer, what if you've got a, 3 to 6-year-old, 3 to 8-year-old who's having temper tantrums,
Well, now you just changed the volume, I think. Because that's, we've been talking about a database. We've been talking about rolling it out. You mentioned the survey. Now we're talking, now if we're talking about academies, then I think, yeah, we need a survey. But, wow, okay. I think they're a great idea.
Well, and the question is, Bo, we can think they're a great idea. Will you come?
Yeah. Well, that.
Because we often have,
And the
A lot
ones
of
that
great
need to
ideas
come
and you
down.
don't get people to come.
yep,
2-year PTO president here, and I
Yep.
can count on one hand how many people I had at my meeting.
yep.
So.
Wasn't the first question that John posed at the beginning of this, like, what is our
Yeah.
actual?
And that's what I mean, it's a big, that
Well,
umbrella
we're kind
that
of-
John posts, it's a big
It's a
umbrella.
big, yeah.
It's big.
We've got to choose what we want to focus on. And it won't be everything. I guess the beginning start of this was that when they did this intentional data review, 2020, they kind of took a big step back and said, okay, what are the needs of the district in general? Really big question. And the reason we're talking about social emotional stuff now is that social emotional was identified at that time as an area of growth, an area that there were needs that maybe were not being met by the district. And to me, that's where a survey is gonna help, is in finding. We know what we know, but there's the other piece of in the shadow of what we don't necessarily know yet. Maybe there are things, maybe there's nothing in the shadow, and our list of resources we have covers what the needs could be, and it's just about connecting people to the resources. But I don't know enough to know whether or not there are other needs out there that, us in this room aren't thinking of.
And I think it's all part of the one of my daughters, when she was in high school, and I never recognized it. She was just going through teenage stuff. Now looking back, she was depressed, and I had no clue. You had the mother-daughter banging heads, and that sort of thing that goes on. And now, we've talked about it since then. Wish I would have known, and I bet there's other parents out there that I didn't know that's what it was. And so maybe part of finding out what people feel they need is a way to help them recognize that, maybe other people have some of those same needs. I don't know.
So part of our goal of connecting people with resources is raising awareness in the community of just the fact that social emotional things are out there and normalizing that making these things conversations that you can talk about. I feel like 20 years ago, this was not. We didn't see
Oh, no.
social emotions, things like that. But just simply having a survey and making this, hey, this is a conversation we're having. We're talking about social emotion. The more times that gets talked about in the public, it's normalizing it. It's just raising awareness, just talking about it, having the questions and even if we don't actually get it, I think we will get interesting things that result.
Well,
Even
I'm
if we
not opposed
don't,
to a
it's
survey.
still- Yeah, no, I'm not saying we are or not, but even if we didn't get anything out of it, which we might not, but it still would, it'd be a conversation that's being had in the public forum or whatever. And I think it could be interesting. And I think if we're gonna do it, if the goals of the survey are something like that, raising awareness piece. And then finding out what are people's needs and are there places that we don't know yet.
So let me ask you a question then. Is it a case where we do this in conjunction, like, hey, here's what social emotional learning is and where we're coming from. Here are the resources within the walls of Dixon Public Schools and what we can offer. Here is a list of a not exhaustive list of resources that we know within our community and what they can do. Is the next phase then tell us what else maybe you need information on?
I think it's something like that. If
I like
that
that.
piece in the middle about telling them what we have currently. You know, I like that. I think we're gonna lose people if they have a bunch to read through. 'Cause there's a lot of resources out there that they can read through.
Yeah.
We links to
I
that.
think a link.
Exactly. A link
Yeah,
to
link-
our list.
Especially a link for parents, like what you were saying, like maybe recognizing the signs of depression or anxiety, or, you know, like you have links to those. I had a similar situation with my son, but he came to me with his concern.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen.
Right.
So,
And maybe she would have.
right.
20 years ago. No.
But
Oh, well,
it-
she would have too, because I think it is one of those things where it's a little more recognized right now.
I think,
yeah.
yeah, being able to, direct parents to resources where they can learn to identify those. Because when this was happening with my son, he was in first grade and he's very smart, but when you're 6 years old, you don't have the words to necessarily say what exactly you're feeling and why it's making you feel like that. So even, he was being, open with his emotions with me, but I couldn't identify exactly what it was that was making him feel this way and what exactly he was feeling, because I know he's always been a happy kid, so I didn't, not knowing that sign of not knowing that, 6-year-olds can have anxiety. It never occurred to me. but
And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter whether they're 6 or 16,
Yeah.
they can't put their finger on it either.
Yeah.
I just know I'm not feeling myself,
Right.
and we've seen it with kids, haven't we? What's going on? I don't know, and they're not trying to be evasive. They really don't know.
Right.
I've been that guy.
Yeah.
I've
I
been that
almost
adult,
wonder
yep.
if. I'll use the word, it's not the right word, the catch. To pass out the information is to ask the questions first.
Mm,
And then say, these are the results of what we heard from people.
mm.
Did you know this is what we have? This is where you could go. This is a starter.
I don't know.
I think that's gonna come as we should have, there would be a conversation we have about what does this survey look
Yeah.
like? And I don't know if that looks like a subcommittee, if that looks like what we talk about at the next time. I don't know what exactly that looks like, but kind of leaning towards subcommittee. Like, kind of want to get cracking on that and not wait 2 months before. That'd
Maybe,
be January.
maybe, subcommittee could do. A survey. Amy and I. Oh, it gives me.
Yeah, subcommittee, write a
nightmare.
draft and then send it, email it to everybody or put it in the folder here and everybody can kind of take a look and
Yeah.
comment. And,
Rephrase questions
mhm,
Again.
again and again. And
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. reorder that too, Yeah. Yeah, and then we can come together in January. Cause we don't want to do this now, do we, as far as, we don't want to survey out going into Christmas.
No,
No.
honestly, I think January was a great time for that. I think that's kind of a natural low.
Yeah.
Everything's dark and sad. The holidays are over. Everybody's sad and big dark.
I'm feeling well.
You've already failed on your New Year's resolution. January 15th.
Broke the Christmas
Bad
budget.
times.
Yeah, rough time.
You're feeling sad or depressed.
Exactly.
Well, and thinking about it, we want to get it ahead of the 5 essential survey,
Yeah.
because we don't want things to
Stack up.
Yep.
When does that start?
March,
Oh, okay.
isn't it?
That sounds right.
I can't remember.
You
Sounds
know,
Starts a
right.
little earlier than that when it's available, but
Yeah, I can't remember. I'd have to.
yeah,
go
I
back
feel
and
like we were already talking about the 5 essentials when we had
Sounds good.
the choir festival last year, which that was in February, I wanna say. So it was already happening.
Yeah,
I'd say then our goal could be then that at the next meeting in January, that we approve a thing to be sent out like that week or whatever. A survey, approve a survey to be sent out then. That way we'll bump it up against that and keep the momentum going.
This is kind of a step back, you know, Kathleen talked about wanting like a hook or something to kind of catch eyes. If we're gonna send out a survey, especially if there's other surveys that might be out and about to catch people's eyes, it might be worth attempting to get some sort of tagline of in 10 clicks or less, tell us
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah, it
Or-
has to be short.
In 5 clicks or less, tell us what we missed in this list we've already made, you know?
mhm.
Like making it very, very concise, I feel like could get us more information.
Yeah.
Just because more people would be willing to, okay, this isn't gonna take 20 minutes of my time. I can do this for this.
I'm gonna guess then that the subcommittee is gonna meet like twice or something in the coming month and a half or something. We're just talking about hooks. Anyone willing to sink a hook into themselves to be a part of this? Look at you. All right, cool.
I'll help.
I'm curious. too.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
All right. Cool, okay. Yeah, I'll be a part of it too. It'll be fun.
There might be some who aren't here. that would want to do it.
Yeah, there might be, we have a number missing tonight,
Yep.
You know,
and not any
Dr.
pressure, but I'd love student voice in that.
I can do it.
Okay,
And part of it can be done over email, you know, once we get a start, we can email things. and-
well, I always start with the good old Google, because somebody has invented something somewhere as a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's another thing that maybe it'll be something for that group to talk about, but what's the difference between social emotional and mental health? And do we want to phrase this, that's the, you know, there's a lot of energy behind that phrase mental health these days. Is that what we're talking about also, or is what we're talking about with social emotional substantively different than mental health?
Isn't social emotional part of mental health? I guess that's the way I always-
Yeah, I've always seen social emotional, you know, the emotional piece is somebody's mental health.
Hmm.
The way that they perceive and interact with the world all comes from their mental health.
Mhm.
So isn't that more of like a component of what we're looking at?
So you're saying social emotional is a part of mental health or?
Other way
mental
around.
health is-
Mental health is a part of social emotional.
Ah,
It's like
okay.
it's the
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
Emotional health versus mental health, what's the difference?
Mm.
Oh, you got a link. Hold on.
one to Google.
What do we do without Google? I don't know. Most people believe they're interchangeable, but in reality, they entail various aspects of a person's mind and senses. This is wordy birdie, yeah. I could upload it to our folder.
Yeah. I'm wondering as we,
That's a great question.
I feel like the goal is to connect with whatever these needs are that people have. And when somebody sees that we're talking about social, emotional, or sees that we're talking about mental health, I don't know, I'm trying to imagine which one would get more connected with what people's needs are.
I can boil it down here.
Hmm.
Emotional health is mainly concerned with expressing sentiments like anger, happiness, etc. Mental health is largely tied to cognitive functions like perception and decision making.
So it's just internal versus.
Strong correlation between mental health and conditions like schizophrenia and mood disorders. On the other hand, less severe issues like stress are frequently the cause of emotional.
Yeah, I feel like we're talking more about emotional health now. A lot of this stuff is about, not that cognitive mental stuff is not part of what we're talking about. but
Yeah, I think it is emotional health.
So I see what you're saying.
kinda like
Is
it
one
but they're
term
right.
gonna be better to use? As far as,
Will,
what
will the community accept one term better? over-
or are they gonna understand and respond to one? term
Exactly.
better than-
Exactly. I like social emotional health. I think is a good encapsulates kind of what we're talking about.
I hate that mental health is such a stigmatized
Mhm.
term,
Crazy, it's-
but I know, like you wanna raise the awareness, and because I struggle with, I'll be completely open, I struggle with my mental health, I go to therapy, I take medication, I don't have a problem talking about it,
Mhm.
but a lot of people do,
Yeah.
you know, and they don't wanna talk about it, and is it worth, using that term where we're not gonna get a lot of traction on it, whereas if we use something,
Like
Like
you're saying,
social-
use social emotional.
social
health.
emotional, people might be more receptive to that than mental health.
Mhm.
Okay, so, yeah, but that's cool. I like social emotional health.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay, so, yeah, I guess we've got 15 minutes left
To
here.
talk about
So,
The mission of the school.
so, as far as scheduling a meeting for our little group here to chat, maybe we'll do that offline afterwards, send an email and line us up there. Cool.
Probably after Thanksgiving.
Thinking you can cram it in the next, 8 days.
My school's closed all next week, so I have all the time in the world.
Are you go to Sterling?
No, I work at Woodlawn.
Okay, moving right along, mission and vision. Go back to my notes here, on where we left off with that.
There weren't a lot of vision statements,
Right.
honestly.
And quite a difference in them, how long,
Some of them are.
some of them are really long. No, this was,
in the file.
And I have it up on the thing if. And there were some that kind of, the question is, just because we're talking about it, I know last time somebody said, we have a fairly all-encompassing one.
Mhm,
Maybe we don't need to change it.
mhm.
I'm not saying we do or we don't. We just wanted to be able to look through and evaluate. Does it need to be tweaked? Does it need to be full update? The rule is always your mission statement should be able to be short enough to be memorized. Because
The
you're,
other ones need to be revised.
I know.
But some of the short ones, like Byron, what does that really mean?
I don't know, I have said the same thing.
It's a good point.
Byron says to develop community-minded 21st century learners. What is that? I don't know that.
That's like every buzzword.
Well, yeah, and their vision, I didn't see it, but it's a shared vision one-page doc, so that must have been an attachment I missed. And Amboy, empowering world-class learners and responsible citizens. Okay.
Eswood has 2 paragraphs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Forest-
Any of you have interacted with Eswood, but they
Forestville.
have like a total of 9
Mhm.
kids.
In the whole district.
Yeah, in the whole district. Okay.
Maybe one word for each one.
Oh, how personal.
As I read through these and, without studying each one. I don't think ours is too bad. I don't know. I think when we looked at it before that.
Oh, I think we're down to analyzing every word.
Yeah.
You know.
And some statements, the only reason I think you would revise it is because there's buzzwords that maybe aren't as
Fuzzy.
yeah, or don't speak to.
Do we
Not the
even
word
have
to be
Dixons in here?
No.
I have a copy of it right here.
Mhm.
You have it?
I do, I printed, I think this is at
Well, why
Dixon
don't
Public
we-
Schools in cooperation with the community. Does that
It's
sound
on their
right? Yeah.
website.
Dixon Public Schools in cooperation with the community will provide students with a comprehensive educational program that produces well-educated, self-sufficient, and involved citizens.
One more time.
Dixon Public Schools, in cooperation with the community, will provide students with a comprehensive educational program that produces well-educated, self-sufficient, and involved citizens.
What's after a comprehensive educational program?
That produces well-educated, self-sufficient, and involved students. Oh, sorry, involved citizens.
Self-sufficient, involved citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I like
So to me, the question we need to answer as a group is, do we want to take any action? And that, I think that action would be to recommend a change to the vision or mission statement.
I looked at all these, just my own opinion, I didn't see anything that I thought was better. Than what we have.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, you all made an excellent point, and that point is buzzwords become trendy.
Yeah.
Where you have to revisit it when, instead of it being called, you know, 21st century learners, when it, you know, I think that, and this was, like I said, done before, doesn't mean we can't always revisit it, but I remember sitting on this when I was, I believe, a teacher, and the goal was not to have those buzzwords in there, so we didn't have to constantly revisit it.
Yeah, it seems more genuine when you don't have those buzzwords in there, you know.
And that's our mission statement. Do we have a vision statement?
We do not.
We do not have a vision statement.
And can you review again the difference between the
Look
two?
at the visions that are here, there aren't a lot of them.
No, a lot of.
No.
The one that got me was Meridian. I'm like, as an exemplary school district, we continually strive to engage online. And it goes on, in highly effective communication. The communities, I just don't know, it goes on.
Oh, it does go on.
It's a big one. And I really, when I read that. Make decisions using research and best practice, fiscal responsibility, I'm like, yeah.
I love-
Yada.
Oregon's become an educational destination for students and
Oh, yeah,
families.
that one, I did like.
I really did. I thought it was short to the point. What is your vision? We want people to choose Dixon Public Schools.
Yes, there, that one was good. I take that back. I did.
Isn't our
That one
vision
was
a place to grow?
That's actually considered like your tagline.
Tagline?
Mhm,
I think that's an excellent tag.
mhm.
And potentially a vision statement.
Yeah.
It could be
Some
signed
form of that, yeah.
Into a vision, statement,
Mhm.
if we want to take that out.
Why do we feel, I don't know, so many don't have it.
Yeah.
Is there we really want it?
Or what are we missing by not
Yeah.
having it?
Well, we have a lot of none that they weren't found
Oh,
with your
Oh.
mission statements. It doesn't mean there might not be one, but when Emma went through their
Look,
website,
okay.
nothing, you
Okay,
know.
But do we feel a reason why Dixon Public Schools should have, or a desire to have, or do we have a desire, or has there been, spoken to you, Margot, a desire for
Yeah.
us to have a vision? statement?
Yeah, is anyone asking for a vision?
No.
I personally don't.
We're gonna
feel
get the money
right
if we come up with this.
No money tied to it.
Get grant money for type, if there's.
so I feel like then, if we're meeting every other month, January, we're going to be dissecting this survey. March, we'll be talking about the results of the survey. May, we'll probably be winding up and deciding, okay, we know what we found for next year, putting it into practice, you know, I don't know that we need, I'm saying that maybe we have enough on our plate with.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not hearing a whole lot of feeling like it's out of date, our mission statement.
Honestly, I do think it's one of the better ones out there. It's short, sweet, to the point. It doesn't seem to be too trendy. It doesn't.
Pretty
mean-
timely.
Mhm.
Honestly.
Yay us.
Yeah, yes. we can put it, you know, we can say it's done right now. We can always revisit anything at a different time.
Feel like a motion to not talk about vision. statement.
Second.
It always comes up in the last like 10 minutes of
I
every
know.
meeting. So we're like, ah.
Cool. All right, so then the next thing on the agenda is to set the agenda for the next meeting. So it sounds like our agenda for this meeting is, I like the plan you got. Next time, we're talking about finalizing the survey. Time after that, we'll be reviewing the results. At some point, I hope by the end of the season, we're able to some way of publishing
Mhm.
this list of resources, and that might be kind of what we're doing
Yeah.
today. Seems like a pretty good time.
One thing that we didn't really nail down, we talked about, was that internal.
Okay.
I mean, is that something that we need to work on or send stuff your way? Or are we not gonna do that?
We can certainly,
Is there a reason that list should be different than the current list? Like, why would we not just add internal resources to the list of community resources?
we certainly can, and then Joey and I could talk about this at our December meeting and provide the link out to administrators, and
Hmm.
they could do it at a staff meeting, they can do it at a. So,
Could
I can-
compile them onto the same list, or just create a second tab on the spreadsheet.
Mhm. internal resources, and then maybe put each building's name down, so then they can add to it.
So they have the name of the council.
I think we need to be a process, and that is, we don't have it.
Yeah, we don't need.
You want the counselors and the social workers, we do the counselors and the social workers for each building on that?
Yeah.
I don't feel like saying out loud that. When we talked last time, at the last meeting, I was thinking, we're gonna be just snowed under with resources. There's gonna be like 50 things on this list. I'm a little surprised that there's 9.
Well, I didn't get it out till last week, and if anybody was just like me, it kind of slipped off your radar.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, not purposeful. I didn't get it out. I looked at Diane, I'm like, holy Moses, we got something coming up.
Yep.
I need to get that on. So,
Cool.
so I will put an internal resources spreadsheet on there,
Just toss a new tab out.
and then invite administrators, social workers, counselors to that.
And I bet the social workers and counselors may have
Ah,
knowledge
they're
of
external.
public resources.
Yeah.
We already do on some of our MTSS, our multi-tiered systems of support binder that we're working on. They've been gathering stuff, so it should be a fairly, lot of it they'll probably copy and paste and drop in there.
And that's when it snowed on.
Yeah.
And people can still keep, if you said you have some to add to it, right,
Yeah,
that
great.
people can still add.
I think too, then, maybe one of our labs, before we send it out, maybe organize it.
Mhm, I agree. I was just thinking about that, like, okay, so my child has anxiety, which of these is the best?
Like you get really overwhelmed.
It can be.
Have like an anxiety tab.
Well, or I don't know,
For everyone.
Oh. I don't know, even just, I think being the cost or through, all that sort of thing helps people make
Yeah.
decisions.
And then, so here I have Victoria, Leah, Kathleen, and Margot, and then we'll check if anybody else that's not here tonight wants to be on that committee,
Subcommittee,
the subcommittee.
I think John and Grace are on.
Oh, okay, thank you. Missed that, sorry.
Thanks for trying to give me some time off.
And the great part, Leah and Grace, is if it's easier, we can move the meeting to the high school.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys have a lot.
Might be fun to have a little field trip going on there.
They pick which classes you hate. Can't go to.
Are either of you involved in winter activities?
I am. I'm on dance team and then we have GI for theater.
Yep.
starting soon.
Okay. it might be easier for us to start over there, so you can then head into your practice. Is your,
But most of those aren't until like later at night. Or
Okay.
Dance is really early in the morning, so I'm. free.
so we could maybe do right after school and get you before you go into that. Okay, perfect. We'll figure
Were you
that out.
gonna start with the Google, and you said about Googling the survey to start us out, or do we wanna?
I can, yes.
I thought you said, I don't, not,
Yeah.
not adding to your list, but I thought. you
No.
had-
That's, yeah, I mean, that's where I was gonna say, anybody can do that. I can certainly, you know,
I'll
see
do-
what I can get.
I'll start a document with just to start brainstorming questions, ideas, whatever, and we can start. One step at a time, but it would be in the documents area. Sure.
Oh, on the same,
Mhm.
okay, oh, yeah,
Create a
yeah, I
document
got
there
it,
in
got
that-
it,
In that folder and I'll send a link.
okay.
Cool.
So you're scheduling a meeting of the subcommittee, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we will. We're gonna see if anybody else that's not here wants to be on it.
Okay.
So maybe I'll have you send out an email tomorrow.
Mhm.
And then once we know that, I'll create a user group and I'll send out
Maybe
for
when they
some
send out
possible
the
dates in
minutes, we can
December.
say that.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
For December, though.
Yeah, we'll probably have at least one meeting in December.
All right. The next item on the list is
Is adjournment?
adjournment. That sounds like a great idea.
Thank
What do you
you,
think?
Amy.
Hey.
And Gretchen, second.
All in favor?
Hi.